Hello everybody, how's it going today? Glowplasma231 here, back in today to talk about Oshi no Ko, chapter number 127, and this chapter's titled, Scouting a Girl. And you cannot sit here and tell me that this chapter title, in any other context besides for this chapter, isn't the weirdest, creepiest thing ever. Because it makes total sense in this chapter of Oshi no Ko. I mean, past few chapters of Oshi no Ko have all been really heavy, deep, and, like, depressing in a way. It's always been about, like, oh no, Serena's backstory. Oh no, her mother doesn't love her. How's Ruby going to act in the movie? Oh, Ruby and Aqua learn who each other are. It's this deep, depressing moment. Oh, Saito and, Miyako are sort of not getting back together, but working together again. Like, it's a whole bunch of things where it's like, oh boy, all of this sort of sad stuff's happening to get ready for the movie. And then we have this chapter, which, this chapter of Oshi no Ko is so much of like a comedy chapter in so much of a way. I mean, it's super important, but it's so much of a comedy chapter, and I think that just shows with the title of Scouting a Girl as the chapter title, because just, oh my gosh, I mean, it's so stupid, but it makes perfect sense for this chapter in specific, right? So, if you're new here to these Oshi no Ko reviews, I'll just tell you how these normally work. I'm just going through the chapter, saying everything that happens, my thoughts on it as it's all going on. And I do this plenty of our time, so if you feel like you think that's enjoyable, hopefully you won't mind subscribing to the channel or leaving a comment down on the video if you think I say things in a particularly funny way or something like that. I don't really know, right? But yeah, just to get into this chapter, number 127, of course, we need to talk about what happened last time in 126. Pretty much, 126 showed the reintroduction of Ichigo Saito back into Strawberry Productions, and pretty much how he was going to be rolling with things and helping deal with the company from here on forward. And it was a very important chapter sort of on that basis, right? Well, and as I said last time, I really didn't know in what direction this chapter would be taking, and I honestly think that it took in a really good and interesting one from that chapter, right? Because we start off the chapter with, Miyako, who of course is the, current owner of Strawberry Productions, or the leader of the team, right? Talking with all three of the Become Nahachi girls, right? Of course, Kana, Ruby, and Mimcho, right? And she pretty much starts to explain, it's like, hey, filming for the movie The 15-Year Lie will finally begin next week, and it's a big job for Strawberry Productions, one of the biggest that we have had in a long time, right? She pretty much continues, like, the day after tomorrow, everybody will do the script reading and costume fitting. 4 days later, we will pray for success in the morning. We sort of get a little note saying that praying for success is a thing that people in Japan often do. They're praying to a god for success, and this is often done, like, if it's new building construction, or even just, like, hopefully praying for good luck on a new film, right? So it's just a Japanese ritual thing that doesn't really translate too well into the English. I mean, it does, but it sort of doesn't at the same time, right? And she's like, and a week after that, we will start filming the movie, right? Showing that in a week, the 15-Year Lie will be completely filmed, or not completely filmed, but it'll be getting on the whole journey to it, right? And she pretty much says, and the filming is scheduled to end in the 3rd week of August. I don't know if we particularly know what time of year it is right now in Oshi no Ko. I know it wasn't too long ago that Kana graduated, so I don't, I know that people normally graduate in, like, February in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not totally 100% sure on that, but that's just from what I sort of know and can put together, right? But it may not be totally that, so we actually don't know how long this filming is going to take. That's the exact point I'm trying to get across here, right? But she's like, we'll have a week's worth of extra days for total wiggle room, right? And Ruby's just like, man, I feel like I can finally have a good rest after all of that stuff going on, right? But, she just continues, just going, but hey, don't forget this, Kana has a graduation performance that will be held at the end of August, so you guys will use those extra days for practicing, right? Saying that, yeah, because Kana's leaving Become Nahachi, her sort of graduation performance, which is a little bit of a weird way to phrase it, a graduation performance for leaving the company, like, okay, sure. It's not the best way to put it, but I guess it works, right? But pretty much that's saying why it is, right? And at this point, Saito walks in, and he's like, oh, about that, we organized a live tour for becoming a Hachi end of the year. Kana will graduate or terminate her contract then. So, pretty much, yeah, Kana's going to stick around a bit longer just so the whole filming of the movie goes well. And being that is her entire employer, Strawberry Productions, so it makes sense why, right? And we see Ruby has this thing of like, man, but I was really ready to say goodbye, right? But Sai's like, hey, Arima has agreed to it. And we get Kana's idea of the whole thing. She's like, well, it's not like I have to exactly graduate now, and I can't bear to ask everybody to make time for my performance during all of that while we're filming this very important movie and while we're all busy with a bunch of things, right? But she's like, I mean, I can't possibly say no if you insist, right? As we see that Ruby's just like, man, she's a handy performer, all right? And Mimcho's like, man, she's such a pushover. I wish she'd take better care of herself, right? But as all that's going on, somebody walks into her room and is like, well, things don't always go according to plan, isn't that right? As we see it, this is Director Gotonda. He's just here, and Ruby's like, oh, hey, Director, why did you show up today, right? Very valid question from Ruby. Gotonda, why are you here? But he's just like, it's nothing special, but I brought the final script, right? As we see, this is the 15-year live final draft of the script, and we see it's in, like, the same, I don't know if it's the same notebook, but it's a notebook we've always seen, and for some reason, it always used to be printed on there, the 15-year lie. For some reason now, it's like there's a black cloud over it, like, just, I don't know if you did, like, a can of spray paint, or just, like, spray painted over it, then rewrote the name. It's like, dude, they make whiteout for that sort of situation, right? You don't need to do it like this. I mean, it's just like, okay, sure, but the final script of 15-year lie is here. That's the important thing. That is why Gotonda is here, right? Myaku's like, oh, hey, thank you for coming out of your way like that, right? And he's like, hey, don't mention it, my office is nearby, and shipping costs would have been a massive waste anyway. As Ruby's just like, man, such a tough financial situation for single people in their 40s, isn't that right? Okay, Ruby, you are currently oldest you've ever been. I mean, I know you've lived 2 lives, but you got to, like, 13 years old in one, and you're currently, like, I don't know, 16, 17 years old in your current life. So, like, that only adds up to about 30. You aren't in your 40s yet, so come on, Ruby. It doesn't make any sense. But we see that Mimcho's like, man, they really have my name in the script of this movie, right? That's so crazy, right? She's like, I wonder if I'm going to be able to perform well under pressure like this, right? But Kana's like, hey, there's nothing to worry about. You've been playing a role of the high school student all along, haven't you, right? Which is very fair. She's been acting as a high school student, being 25 for a whole long time, so she's pretty good at acting in her own right, which I find that very funny as a parallel to what's going to happen later, but we'll bring that up whenever that gets to Aqua's part of the chapter, right? But Mimcho's like, hey, that's something completely different. You can shut your mouth, kind of like, I know I've been acting, but I haven't been acting. Come on, right? So it's pretty funny. Kana's like, but hey, there's a blank space in the actor column. I mean, what's up with that? And Ruby's like, yeah, she's got a good point. Why is it like that? As Gotonda's like, oh, that's for the child actor. We haven't been able to find one yet. And he's just like, it's not really easy to find a good child actor. I mean, I've seen performances by various children all over the country, but unfortunately, when I made them talk in... Oh my gosh, I can't speak, right? He's like, but unfortunately, when I made them talk in a serious story, they'd stick out like a sore thumb. Child actors who can handle long lines are truly valuable, right? As we see it, Khan's like, oh man, I get it. If you want to make a proper show, there has to be a child level of my level when I was a child, right? Is there even one in this era, right? And she's like, it must be difficult in this day and age to find a child actor that was so good as me. Just like showing to like, oh man, I was so good when I was a child actor, but then I didn't get money or get a job, so I sort of failed as an actor for a little while, and now I'm doing acting again, right? Just showing Kana's whole thing of, man, I was a good child actor, which, again, I really do find that funny. I really love all of the sort of back and forth that all of the characters have at the beginning of this chapter. I just find it so funny. And we see that Ruby's even like, oh man, she's clinging to her past glory. Oh, look at that over there, right? So it's pretty funny. But Kondona's like, But after all this, I still have to look for a child actor, so we're gonna be doing this. And we see Ruby's just like, alright, good luck then. Like, good luck, sure, go do it. You can do it. I believe in you, Go Donut. You can do it. But as all of this is going on, we see that Aqua, we don't exactly see where he is, but we see that he walks out of the house. I don't know if that's the Strawberry Production Studio or whatever it is. But we see that he is walking outside, and he's just walking down a path, right? And we see a bunch of black feathers. Oh, look, it's crow feathers. What could that mean? Crow Girl's here, and we see that she's just like, man, for some reason, your face screams that I've made up my mind to hurt people and get hurt. As we see that Crow Girl's just like sitting on a bench here with a crow on her arm, and we see Aqua just glare at her. She's like, hey, he's like, don't you have anything better to do? You always just come and annoy people like this, right? But Crow Girl's was like, I'm just guiding you to the right destiny. I'm very kind after all, right? And Aqua's like, oh, destiny, huh? Spoken like a true god. As Crow Girl's like, well, I guess it depends on how you define a god. According to my definition, those of you who have memories of previous lives can also be called gods, right? Showing that, yeah, of course, that's what Aqua and Ruby are, and it totally makes sense that, yeah, if you have memories of a previous life, yeah, that would be sort of god-worthy in our day and age, so she does have a very good point there of saying that, right? But Aqua's like, hey, let me change the question. What happened to your parents? Do you have a family register or something? As Kroger's like, ha ha ha. Just like you guys, my mother also gave birth to this vessel. I can't say she's a normal parent, though. She's like, would you like to touch it? It's a child's body that you can find anywhere, right? And I have to say, I find this very, very, very interesting. Because for the longest time, I thought of Crow Girl as a sort of personification of the crows, and sort of like the personification of the god Matarasu, as it's sort of been previously stated here in Oshi no Ko. This is very interesting to see that she's an actual girl. Like, she isn't some fake person. Like, she isn't some ghostly apparition like I've always thought. She's a real living and breathing person, and as she says, given birth to a mother just like everybody else. And I do like how she says it, because she's like, I am somebody else who has memories of her previous life, so she is in the same boat as Aqua and Ruby, but for some reason has a massive god complex about her, which is just very, very interesting to me, just the way it is all phrased, and how she's actually real, because for the longest time, I just, like I said, always thought it was just an apparition, so this is very interesting to see here, right? But Aqua and her sort of have like a, what sort of match going on here, right? And Aqua's sort of sitting here, and he pulls out a script of the 15-year lie out of his pocket. He's like, hey, well, you played a child role in this movie? And Crow Girl's just here, just like, what? What? And she's like, huh? What are you talking about? And we get this full-page panel of her just going, huh? As she's just like, are you stupid or what? Just for your sake, you better just stop making stupid jokes like that. And she's like, who do you think I am anyway? And Aqua's like, hey, I don't know. But he's like, at the very least, I'm the same... Oh. Who? There's how dialogue works. I just hate whenever there aren't direct word bubbles, or direct arrows showing who says stuff, right? But he's just like, who do you think I am anyway? And Aqua's just like, I don't know. But we see that Crow Girls is like, hey, at the very least, I'm the same kind of person who has the ability to transfer memories of the dead into a body of a baby, right? And she's like, I'm someone you can't easily negotiate with, right? As Aqua's like, oh, I see. In that case, you can at least act, right? As... Oh, gee. Come on, Manga Plus work. And she's... As Aqua's like, wouldn't it be more convenient for you if this movie was a hit? Isn't that why you went out of your way to get so involved in all of our lives anyway? Even though we didn't ask for you to come after us, right? As Kroger's like, hey, good guess, but it's still against logic for me to get so involved. And Aqua's like, alright, in that case, just don't get involved anymore, right? I don't want to see your face again. You're just super annoying always coming on here, right? But Crow Girl just looks over and smiles at him and is like, oh, you poor thing, your soul is crumbling already. You can't judge things anymore. You better know your position in matters. You better know your position and manners. If I wanted to do with just my fingertip, your soul would be... And Aqua's like, hey, I don't care. Can you be a child actor or not? That's all I care about, right? As she's just like, man, how persistent. Entertainment isn't not my place. She's like, after all, I guide people and control their destiny with the moonlight. As Aqua's like, alright, if you can't act, just tell me right now. I don't care. But you complaining about everything else, and you act like you can't act. Like, come on. If you don't want to do it, just say so. It's lame to do all this, right? She's like, in the end, you're just like that annoying old man who lectures young people while acting all high and mighty. Except you're a girl who looks so older than, like, 7 or 6, who's talking about being a god because you've got previous god complexes. Like, come on, girl. Like, what are you talking about? You're an old codger out here, right? And he just, like... even though you can't do anything if you sit at the same table like the rest of us, just like really rubbing in like, oh man, I'm better than you are. And he's like, hey, if you can't do it, just say, I don't have the skill. I can't do it. I'm sorry, okay? Just showing like how snarky Aqua's getting as Krogirl's like, huh? Okay, I can do it, okay? You don't need to look down on me. As next thing we know, we cut to the Strawberry Production Studio. We see director Gontonda and we see Ruby standing here. As Aqua walks in and is like, okay, I got a child actor that may be able to be of some use. As we see that Krogirl's in front of him. Krogirl's going to be in the 15-year lie. Okay, that works. But she's like, no, I didn't come here of my own will. I came here of my free will, okay? Not of his will, okay? Get it right. And that's where we end Oshi no Ko, chapter number 157. If I had any guess about where this chapter was going to go, I did not think that Aqua was going to recruit Krogirl for the 15-year lie to be a child actor. This is like the one thing I never guessed, but is honestly great. I love this chapter. I mean, it is genuinely one of my favorite Oshi no Ko chapters. Granted, yeah, it doesn't have a Kane in it, but it's got Aqua. And Aqua and Kane are the two best characters in fiction, not fiction, in Oshi no Ko. Which Oshi no Ko is considered fiction. I don't know if you knew that, right? But, just showing, like, all the interactions, like, all the just snarkiness and the funniness and everything that's been built on in the previous 126 chapters of this series. So we're just all coming together here to make this a really funny chapter of, like, I love Aqua's just snarkiness of, like, oh, if you say you can't act, just say you can't do it. Simple as that. And if you can't, get out of our lives. We don't want you here, right? You're just annoying. You're an old codger who just gets on our asses about stuff. It's just super funny. So, hopefully soon we'll get the actual name of Krogirl, so I don't have to keep calling her Krogirl, because calling her Krogirl sort of gets annoying after a while, right? But, like I said, this was a great chapter. I just love the beginning of becoming a Hachi, Saito, and Miyako and Gontonda all sort of interacting. I love the build up to a chapter of, oh man, we just need a child actor. Who could this child actor be? Krogirl, sure. Yeah, just great chapter overall. And, oh man, that chapter title, Scouting a Girl. Oh golly gee. And now, if last time I meant when I said I know where we're going next chapter, I genuinely don't know where we're going this next chapter. Like, 128, we've recruited Krogirl. Are we going to cut to the, as Miyako was explaining earlier, the, script reading and costume fitting? I could see that being, like, the beginning of it, seeing just, like, all of our main characters and getting a reintroduction of who's playing who in the movie, just showing them off, showing them in their costumes, and showing what they're going to be doing. I could easily see that happening, and that would be a pretty good idea for a chapter. But at the same time, who knows where Asa's Kasa is going to be taking this, because if you told me at the end of the series we were going to have a Krogirl god being a child actor, I would have not believed you. But it's just really funny, really cool, and yeah, this was a great Oshi no Ko chapter. If you like this review and want to go check out my other reviews, I've got them on the channel. You can go check them out, because I've got them there. And if you like this video, hope you won't mind liking it, commenting, following, doing all of those good stuff that we YouTubers ask you to do. It'd really help out, and I've got other videos on the channel talking about other various anime and manga related things. Sometimes video games, but normally anime and manga, so go check those out. And yeah, not too much else to say. Great chapter Oshi no Ko, and Krogirl, That's pretty cool. This would be cool, Plasma231.